The Kruger Day drag racing meeting at Tarlton International Raceway near Krugersdorp is traditionally one of the highlights of the season. The meeting forms part of the Castrol Championship and always attracts a big entry from throughout the country in both the car and bike categories. As is the norm at any motorsport meeting anywhere in the world, there are always last-minute adjustments to be made to machinery and equipment. In a sport where victory and defeat are measured in fraction of seconds, nothing is left to chance. We pick up the action in the semi-final of the Street Eliminator class with Harry Arangis in the nicely turned out Chev Can-Am up against hot favourite Sebron Coetzee in the ancient but very rapid Datsun. Drag racing has its origins in the United States and is a straight acceleration contest between two vehicles. Cars and motorcycles are classified in terms of engine capacity and the type of fuel used, with a series of elimination runs eventually arriving at a single winner in each class. In South Africa, a handicap system has been devised to allow cars from the different classes to compete against each other on equal terms. The handicap system is based on a mathematical formula which, in theory, should see the cars hurtling through the timing lights at the finish simultaneously. The second semi-final saw Bud Novak and the giant Pontiac up against the beautifully turned out Chev Alpha in the hands of Jerry Suzman. The so-called burnouts, with drivers warming up their tyres, are all part of the drag racing hype and add to the spectacle. The handicap system is infallible in theory, but does not take into account the human factor. Reaction times on the start when the lights turn to green are, all too often, the margin between success and failure. The adage that if you snooze, you lose holds plenty of water. Novak got the cumbersome-looking Pontiac off the line in good shape, but was pipped at the post by the Chev Alpha, with Suzman qualifying to meet Sebron Coetzee in the final. Suzman is a highly experienced campaigner and was in confident frame of mind for the final clash with Coetzee.
Yes, I started last year in June and things have gone very well for me. The car's going very well and hopefully today we'll break some more records.
Suzman turned on a spectacular show on the start line, with his burnout producing plenty of tyre smoke and engine noise. By contrast, Coetzee's burnout was mundane. All drag race runs are started by an apparatus known as the Christmas tree. The tree is pre-programmed, with competitors going through a process known as staging to position themselves precisely on the start line. It is also a quirk of the South African handicap system that the competitor with the quickest time over the quarter mile is not always the winner. Breaking the lights at the finish first is all that counts, with Suzman the loser, although he set a faster time than Coetzee.
Been off 2.5 years, nice to be back, quite exciting.
One of the highlights of any drag meeting is always the clash between the top fuel bikes ridden by Steve Rost and Wynand Strydom. These awesome machines are capable of speeds in excess of 300 kilometers an hour, this over the standing quarter mile, and it takes a special breed of man to climb astride these monsters. There was disappointment for the Kruger Day crowd, with Wynand Strydom's Kawasaki suffering mechanical failure on the start line. Steve Rost had to complete a solo run on the Mike Bramley Yamaha. A slow time of 10,10 seconds was still good enough for a terminal speed of nearly 270 kilometers an hour.
Really excited. It was fantastic. Just getting on this morning, didn't realize just how fast we used to be. You know, it actually shocked me. Having not ridden for 2.5 years, it was incredible. That first launch, even though it was a slow run, felt fantastic.
The A-Dragster final saw Gavin Murray out in the ultra-quick full-ray Keith Black car. Murray was up against Mike Sigala in the superbly turned-out Chev Dragster and was a hot favourite to win. There was plenty of tension on the start line, but Murray got away superbly to canter home. His time was fractionally outside the A-Dragster record, with his terminal speed 250 kilometers an hour. In the hotly contested street eliminator motorcycle category, old rivals Peter De La Rey on the Winston Yamaha and Suzuki rider Rian Lowe made it through to the final. When the lights turned green, Lowe had trouble getting the Suzuki's front wheel onto the track surface. Lowe rapidly made up ground on De La Rey, but was beaten to the lights, although he set a faster time.
I think our chances are quite good to take our class, and maybe we're going for another record in that class.
Mercia Borden is one of a number of women who take on the men in drag racing. In the Thunderchild Chev Dragster, she came up against Reg Murray in the beautiful Smith Wheels Chev in the B Dragster class final. Mrs. Borden was unfortunate to find Murray in top form on the day. Murray was in control from the green light and in a scorching run set a new class record. Needless to say, Murray was delighted with his performance.
Oh, fantastic. It felt really good. The time was 8:42, I think. Terminal speed I didn't get yet, but it's in the region of about 270 kilometers an hour, I think.
Cassie van Sale made certain his rear tyre was properly warmed up as he prepared to tackle Dave Gayton in the top eliminator bike final. Gayton is a veteran drag racer who creates plenty of excitement on the Lubro bike, which sports a V8 Chev car engine. Now there is power on two wheels. When the lights turned to green, it took Gayton a few seconds to get all that V8 power onto the road. That accomplished, he streaked past Van Sale to score a comfortable victory. Terminal speed for the Chev Monster was 218 kilometers an hour. There was plenty of interest in the A modified class, with Jerry Sussman and the spectacular and immaculately turned out Alpha Chev through to another final. Sussman was this time up against Grant Brackenridge in the AC Cobra. For Brackenridge, there was no shortage of support from the grandstands. The AC Cobra is one of the world's legendary sports cars. This time out, the Cobra had to take a back seat with a supercharged Alpha Chev storming through to a convincing win. Mike Sargent in the colourful Chev Volvo looked set for a good battle against Fani Fourie in the immaculate Ford Sierra in the first semi-final of the senior eliminator class. The Chev, now powered by a Volvo motor, has been around Tarlton for a long time. There was plenty of vociferous support for both drivers, with Fourie just getting the nod despite a determined effort from Sargent. It was a close call, with Fourie just managing to hold on. The second semi-final saw ever-popular Manny Kaiser in the tiny turbocharged Daihatsu Bucky up against B dragster star Reg Murray. Kaiser had the handicap advantage in the diminutive Daihatsu and made a good start. Once Murray got going, he rapidly hauled in the Daihatsu to qualify for the final against the Fourie Sierra combination. The final promised to be a close affair, with both drivers and their crew members taking extra care on the start line. Warming up the tyres properly and finding the section of the track with the best adhesion can mean the difference between winning and losing. Neither crew nor driver was leaving anything to chance, with Fourie first away under the handicap system. The Sierra was going great guns, and when Murray blasted off the line, he had his work cut out to catch Fourie. In a great finish, Fourie just held on to take the honours. Tarlton would not be Tarlton without Mick van Rensburg and his incredible Top Sport jet car. The Top Sport car has to be seen to be believed as it belches flame and smoke amid the scream of the jet engine. Since the tragic deaths of Johnny Peters, the intrepid van Rensburg has been forced into doing only exhibition runs, but the appearance of the jet car is a moment the crowd waits for on the edge of their seats. To drive a cigar tube on wheels with a jet engine strapped to your backside would be for most people ultimate in lunacy. Van Rensburg is Mr. Drag Racing in South Africa and thrives on the speed drug. As it blasts the Top Sport car off the line, the Westinghouse jet engine belches flame and smoke and rockets van Rensburg down the drag strip in a time of 6.5 seconds for a terminal speed of 410 kilometers an hour. A Sunday drive in the country will never be the same.